Some of us were told that life in the physical world is only temporary, and that after physical death, our soul will return to the Creator. Saint Augustine, who is better regarded as a Christian saint than a philosopher, grounded his concept of self on dualism. He proposed that the separation of body and soul can be explained by salvation. Now, the question is, do you believe in life after death? To answer this, St. Augustine, a Christian theologian, described the soul as a rider on the body, emphasizing the distinction between the tangible and immaterial, with the soul representing the true person. Despite the fact that body and soul were distinct, it was impossible to imagine a soul without its body. The soul can be immortal according to St. Augustine if it is in communion with the divine. St. Augustine's idea of self is defined by his relationship to God, which includes both his perception of God's love and his response to it, which he achieves through self-presentation and eventually self-realization. St. Augustine felt that finding God's love was the only way to obtain inner calm. He suggested that human mind is an image of God. Augustine claims that the mind is made in God's image not because it is capable of self-knowledge, but because it has the capacity to become wise. That is, to remember, know, and love God, its creator. He also emphasized the self's dual character as both imperfect and immortal. He believes that through a relationship with a Christian God, the soul can obtain immortality. As a result, the body will stay in virtue while on earth, wanting to be with the divine. His briefest definition of virtue is ordered love. Virtue, according to Augustine, is an inner disposition or motivational habit that allows us to do whatever we do out of genuine love. There are various catalogs that define traditional four cardinal virtues of prudence, justice, courage, and temperance as manifestations of God's love in this life or at the end of the world. Let us talk about the virtues. Prudence can be defined as love that discerns what helps and what hinders us in our pursuit of God. Prudence is the first thing that comes to mind when making a moral decision. In accordance with this judgment, the prudent man decides and directs his actions. With the aid of this virtue, we are able to apply moral principles to specific situations without making mistakes, and we are able to overcome doubts regarding the good to achieve and the evil to avoid. Augustine suggests that justice is love serving God only, and so ruling well all else. He added that citizens have the duty to obey their political leaders regardless of whether the leader is wicked or righteous. There is no right of civil disobedience. Citizens are always duty bound to obey God. When the imperatives of obedience to God and obedience to state authority conflict, citizens must choose to obey God and suffer the consequences of disobedience freely. To face distressing circumstances, we need courage to overcome our fears. Courage, on the other hand, not only calms our worries, but also combats our irrational desire to conquer them. Excessive urge to confront frightening situations is a form of recklessness that can quickly lead. As a result, we want courage to both reduce excessive fear and moderate excessive confidence. And the temperance. This includes refraining from sexual addiction, vengeance, arrogance, expensive luxury, fury, or excessive anger through self-control. Temperance is a Christian virtue that balances the use of created goods by reducing attraction. So temperance is a virtue that improves one's power to control one's appetites, emotions, and material desires. In summary, St. Augustine believed in dualism. He suggested that our soul cannot exist without physical body. And in order to achieve immortality of the soul, we have to go through communion with God by staying in virtues such as prudence, justice, courage, and temperance.